Good day everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Uglo Fashion and thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'll be showing you how to make this A-line gown with exaggerated circle sleeve. So please stay tuned and enjoy the tutorial. Please like and share the video as well. It is beginner friendly. Thank you so much and remain blessed. This is the Ankara fabric I'll be using for this tutorial. Also, I'll be mixing it with this velvet and my lining. I folded the fabric into two. I noticed the edges are not equal, so I first of all trim that out. I make a straight line, then trim the rough or the unbalanced edge off. So I started from that's my starting point. I measured the nipple point, the under bust, the half length, the hip, that's from shoulder to hip length. I used 25 to determine that. Now for the gown length, according to the style, there's another fabric at the hem line of the dress. So the length of the gown is 59. I used 5 inches for the other fabric, which is the velvet. So 59 minus 5, I use 5 inches for the velvet, so 59 minus 5 will give me 54 inches. So the length I'll be using for this Ankara now is 54. Then I added half to it, that's the hem, just to connect the hem to the velvet. Also back here, I measured the circumference of the nipple points divided by 4. That's 46. The nipple point is 46 divided by 4. So the circumference of the under bust also, I divided it by 4. I did that for the half length. The reason for all this is because I want it to be more explanatory so that you don't make mistake while doing yours. That's why I'm taking all this measurement, although they are not really necessary for the A-line gown, but you need it just to make it more clearer. So whatever I have at the nipple point circumference, you know, I said the nipple circumference is 50 divided by 4 will give me 12.5. so whatever I have there is what I'll measure at the hem line. Then after that, I measured the shoulder circumference, which is 16 inches divided by 2. Then from the shoulder I measured 7 inches and I chalked that out. So from the 7 inches I connected that back to the shoulder. Then from the 7 inches I measured 4.5. Here also at this angle I measured 1 inch in and I connected everything together. So whatever I have at the nipple point, I will add 1 inch just to have a slope here. So it will give me this slant shape. That's for the armhole. I connected that to the armhole. Then for the back to the bodies, I'll be adding 2 inches extra allowance. That's for my seam. So I went ahead to add the 2 inches allowance. I connected the lines I have there together, and also I still ensure I measure the 2 inches at the armhole, or let me say the chest line. I still measure the 2 inches at the armhole space too. So for the hem line here, I still added the 2 inches as well. So if you are cutting a straight gown, this is just our normal straight long gown. Now so I just labeled everything just to make it clearer. The nipple point, the under bust, the half length, the hip length. So having done with this, I chalk the underbust because that's where the A is starting from and it ends at the M. So for the A, which is the business of the day, I went ahead to measure 5" after the allowance. After the 2 inches allowance, I measured another 5". So I'll be slanting the 5". I slanted it back to the underbust. Like I said, the A starts from the underbust, so that's why I slanted it from the M line back to the underbust. And I went ahead to cut that out. So I cut 2. That's because I cut both back and front the same shape, though there will be zipper, but I did not have zipper allowance. That's because the zipper will only affect the neckline. Now for the circumference of the neck, I measured 3.5 inches by 1. The reason for this is because I am cutting both front and back neckline together, and here at the shoulder I measured 1 inch and slant it back to the neckline. After that, I separated the back bodies from the front. So this is the front now. I've removed the back. I measured another 3 inches for the neckline of the front. I'm still maintaining the 3.5 for the width, so the length is 3 inches. And there's a yoke there as well. So for the yoke, I came down with 6 inches. From the shoulder, I measured 6. I ruled that out on a straight line. I went ahead to cut that, and for this I'll be replacing the yoke with my velvet, so I notched the middle. This is the velvet fabric. I folded it into 2. I later fold into 4. That's because it's a circle sleeve, but it's exaggerated circle sleeve. It's very wide. Just ensure it's well placed on the table. There's no folding in between. I went ahead to measure the length of the sleeve from shoulder to where the length of the sleeve will end. So it's along the wrist side, so I used 21.5 for the length. Now I measured the circumference I have here from the sharp edge here. So whatever I have here, it must be equal to the armhole circumference. So the armhole circumference of my client is 22 inches and I have 23 inches here, so which means I'll be using the remaining 1 inch for my seam. Then from that peak point again, I measured whatever I have from that round. I measured the inches round. Then I cut everything out. So this is just for one sleeve. I still cut another sleeve. Now for the M line, I told you earlier that it has 5 inches at the M. as in the other fabric is 5 inches, so this is the 5 inches I'm measuring out, but instead of using the 5 inch I measured 6.5 inches. That's because I'm going to use 1 inch to fold in, then ½ inch to connect to the upper body. So whatever I have at the length here, the circumference I added 1 inch just to give me this slant shape again. You can see what I'm doing here. So I added 1 to here. Then I cut it out. So I cut 2 because I'll be cutting for both front and back. Now for the yoke, I placed it on the first yoke I cut on the Ankara fabric. I placed the Ankara fabric on the velvet, then I added ½ inch for the joining. Now to join, I added my interface to the velvet. You know how velvet can be. I don't want it to stress me, and I notched the middle. So first of all, I pinned the middle together. And also pinned the edge so as to give me easy access while sewing. Please, before you cut the yoke out, ensure you've cut your lining. I didn't show that part, but I cut my lining before cutting the yoke. After pinning the yoke, I also pinned the hem as well, like I did for the yoke. I added interface for the hem too. So after stitching, I ironed it, then I added my lining. First of all, I'll stitch the neckline. This is the neckline. Then for the back bodies, like I said, there will be zipper at the back, but it will just affect the neckline. So after cutting the neckline, I went down with like 6 inches. Then I just slashed the in between, the middle. I slashed the middle, and this is the zipper I'll be using for this tutorial. This is how I'll be stitching on it. Sorry, I later changed the zipper because I noticed that the color will not really blend, so I used black zipper. Now I've stitched the zipper. This is what I have after stitching. The next thing is to stitch the shoulders together. And to stitch the shoulder, you have to keep one side, either the front or the back, in between each other. The next thing is to stitch out the measurement, so fabric plus fabric, then lining plus lining. Now, having done with that, I stitched the sleeve. I shaped the armhole and stitched the sleeve. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial to the end. Love you. Bye.